My name's Susan James, and I'm a professor of philosophy at Birkbeck College in London. Welcome to my exp. It is a strange thing that a philosopher who lived several hundred years ago should be such a source of inspiration for us now, both for ordinary readers and for academics of various kinds, authors, and so on. I think part of the reason may lie in Spinoza's biography, in the fact that he lived both inside and outside Dutch society. Spinoza was born into a sort of pretty well-established Portuguese Jewish family within the Sephardic Amsterdam community, and he grew up there and was educated in that community and so on. But in his early 20s, he entered into a terminal quarrel with the authorities of the synagogue, who eventually excommunicated him. We can tell from the curse or harem that they pronounced over him that they were really deeply displeased with him, perhaps partly for his financial conduct, but also, it seems, for his heterodox views. Spinoza was already beginning to go his own way. And when he left the synagogue, as far as we know, he cut his ties with the Jewish community for the most part, as the harem required him to do, and set out to remake himself, as it were. He studied Latin, he met many Dutch intellectuals, he went to lectures at Leiden University, he became much in demand as a grinder of lenses for telescopes and microscopes. But at the same time, he kept himself apart and maintained his independence. He remained single. He lived all his life in simple rented rooms, and he refused all employment. None of this, however, stopped him from becoming an internationally celebrated philosopher, and one who was regarded as absolutely outrageous in many quarters. And partly because of that, partly because of his reputation, he refrained from publishing very much while he was alive. One of the books he didn't publish was his magnum opus, The Ethics, which has as its overarching theme the project of philosophy as the art of learning to live well. And in Spinoza's case, particularly the art of learning to live well by learning to live together. So philosophy, as Spinoza sees it, is not just a theoretical undertaking, a matter of coming to understand questions about what the world is like, what we are like, what we can know, and so on. It is all that, but at the same time, it's a practical enterprise, a matter of learning how to put all that knowledge to work in the way we live and in what we do. That's the difficult bit for Spinoza, I think. So we can tell how well we're doing, as it were, how much philosophical progress we have made, by asking ourselves, well, how well have we learned to live? How empowering and satisfying are our lives? And we can then, as it were, set about asking ourselves that. In the Ethics, Spinoza talks about all sorts of things, and they are all important to this project of learning to live well together. The crucial question, as he sees it, is to learn what we are like and to learn how we can adapt ourselves to our environment and each other so as to live well. It might seem that these are not sort of particularly philosophical projects. You might think, well, these are the kind of projects that are undertaken in psychology, in psychoanalysis, in politics, and so on and so forth. And it's true, I think, that they belong to a philosophical tradition that we have largely lost. But Spinoza was an advocate of this tradition, which had flourished in the ancient world, and it's one that's being somewhat revived, I think, nowadays. So perhaps Spinoza is one of the philosophers who can help us to understand what's attractive about this image of philosophy as learning to live together